Welcome back to Just to Digital, where we talk about the evolution of gaming and media and take a look at some of the classics that shape today's modern titles. As always, I'm your host, Brett Clark, and joined with me is the lovely Mr. This chair is squeaky. I'm going to get this chair out of here. Every time I'm talking, this chair's getting super squeaky. Matt, you want to say hi to the people?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? What's up?
Yeah, so anyways, Matt, this week, besides my chair being squeaky, we actually got a tweet sent to us, and that's the topic we're going to be talking about. It was from Xavier. Xavier said, "Disc to digital. If I could pitch an idea for your next topic, it would be previous generation versus old generation. Hashtag disc to digital." Well, Xavier, we appreciate that message. And you too can be part of the action by using that hashtag disc to digital on Twitter. That's how Xavier reached out to us. But, I mean, as far as consoles go, Matt, I mean, previous and old, I don't know. I've got a lot to talk about this. What about you?
Oh, absolutely. The evolution of consoles, that's a big topic for a lot of people, especially if you haven't experienced some of them. It's kind of nice to hear the feature sets and what they have to offer and things like that. It's a great topic. We could talk all day about this.
Oh yeah, for sure. I 100% agree. I mean, with the evolution of like consoles, if you think about it, like way back, like this, like some of them are pre-internet days.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like if you think about today, like people are like, "Oh, I'll play with you online," and back then, like it was couch co-op or nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of a shame because you've seen a lot of games get like removed from couch co-op.
Yeah.
Like there's no longer one of those options for it. But just the changes alone in how a video game console is like designed to be like 2-player, 4-player in mind, like it's come a long way. I mean, like the Super Nintendo had like 8-player support. Like,
Wow. Yeah.
you had
Yeah.
to get like a stupid extendo pack or whatever it's called, but it supported it. And the last console I think that's had 8-player support might be I think the Xbox One is the last one that had it. I don't think Xbox 360 had it. It's not a very common thing. Switch has it. Not a very common thing to see 8-player support. But I wish I had 8 friends who wanted to play video games or could agree on a video game to play. You know?
Yeah, for me, it was just usually 1 or 2 buddies on the couch. I think at most it was probably like 3 or 4 of us playing together. So I never experienced the 8-player thing, but I think you're right on point with that. You know, the early days of gaming consoles were sole focused on just gaming itself. No internet, no connectivity, nothing to worry about, no stress that way. Just straight turning it on, playing video games with your buddies on the couch. And I think that's where the innocence of gaming kind of started, and that's where it really stayed. And then later on down the road, as technology enhanced and they were able to send high-speed internet out to people, things really took off from there. But the early days of internet gaming consoles was like the Sega Dreamcast was interactive online, not heavily. And then the Microsoft 360, Xbox 360 was the first one that really took the whole internet thing mainstream and transformed gaming consoles into like an all-purpose media hub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that you're right. Like Xbox 360, PS3, they kind of became like entertainment systems versus everything else, which was like a gaming console. Like you could play DVDs and stuff like that on the PS2 and Xbox. But I know for Xbox, you needed to have like a special remote. And it always, like as a kid, like really irritated me. Because I've got like SpongeBob or something on DVD and I just want to watch it when I'm cleaning my room. It's like, oh, you don't have the special Xbox remote. I'm like, it's a DVD. Like, oh, I need a special like remote for this. I can't use the triggers to rewind and fast forward. And that always irritated me as a kid because I'm like, oh, now I gotta bust out the portable DVD player, and now I'm making more of a mess. Yeah. Whereas 360 just boop, and it was like you could watch Netflix, Hulu, whatever. You could download. Didn't Microsoft have like their own proprietary like streaming service for video?
That I don't remember.
Because I remember buying like a show called The Workaholics on Xbox because it was free, but I could only watch it on my 360. I don't know what it was, but it was just kind of cool because I got like season 1 of Workaholics for free, and I would just watch it on my Xbox 360, and I was like super cool.
It sounds like the kind of like how the PlayStation has their video service where you can buy things on demand and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, like some of my favorite moments, like from that show, I was only able to experience because of that Xbox giving it away for free for a month or whatever it was. And it's like, it's still there, but I don't know what service that's called. So I don't know. I might be completely right. It might be something like Hulu or something like that. And I just don't know what it's called. But I know that on the Xbox and especially on something like the SNES, I would have never had any experience like that, let alone like the ability to stream something. I mean, even though Wii had Netflix on it, but that was what, standard definition on the Wii?
Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Well, I think the older consoles are I guess you could say they've lasted the test of time. I mean, if you're looking at like longevity for a product, you can't get better than like the Nintendo or the and the Nintendo line, NES, Super NES, and 64, things like that. Because if you're looking at today's standards and you're gaming today, if you're a gamer today, you've got all this technology, you've got Netflix, Hulu, NFL, all that stuff straight on your device, and it's got a high-speed internet connection. You can't really go back to the previous generation and like the PS3, the Xbox 360, and even a little bit further back. You really can't go too far back and enjoy it as much as you can as the new consoles, because they weren't capable of handling everything. They weren't. The hardware was not capable of being as fast and as pinpoint accurate as it is now. And I think the longevity, just from a pure gamer standpoint, just from a pure purist and looking at like just straight innocent vanilla gaming, the older consoles from the original launches and things like that, they do stand the test of time because they're not trying to compete with today's technology. They're just something unique in itself. And I think that longevity is great. I mean, I don't think they would have predicted that, the term retro would be so popular and that everybody would be trying to get their hands on their products 20, 30 years down the line, for sure. Which is, you go online today and you can't get anything without having to spend a pretty penny on it. So, but yeah, the longevity for me, I like to see that. And I think that's why Nintendo is still ever prevalent and popular. They make gradual upgrades. If you talk about evolution, gradual upgrades, and then make everything replayable on the newer consoles, the bigger library of all the past games and stuff. So I think they bring that to the table. So. But yeah, just from the longevity standpoint, I think older generation, if you're talking about previous versus older generation, wins hands down.
Yeah, I mean, like with the Wii did a really good thing with the Virtual Console, where they allowed you to play GameCube and SNES and NES games, and then they just completely got rid of it. And going to something like the Switch, where you've got the online classics that you can play for like the SNES and the original Nintendo, that's cool. But what about all those Wii games? Now, a majority of the Wii console was shovelware. We can all admit it. But there's some good ones in there. And a lot of the Wii U games that came out were like reported to the Switch. But I think the original Wii, not the Wii U, the fact that they had that Virtual Console was amazing. And then they just got rid of it,
Yeah.
And it's a shame that more companies don't do that, because I know Xbox has their like Xbox Enhanced or whatever, where you can play like original Xbox games. Yeah, like 8 of them. Ooh, the games that I still own on disc, like Knights of the Old Republic, I can't put the physical disc in there. I have to buy the digital version of it in order to play it. But on the 360 last generation, I was able to just put the disc in there, and it was backwards compatible with almost like 90% of the titles. Which, it's like you take a step forward and you take like 3 steps back. Like, and that for me was kind of like, I had a huge library of original Xbox games, and there were some that weren't compatible with the 360, and I just ended up giving away my Xbox and all those titles to a friend of mine because he didn't have a Xbox or anything. So it's just like, here, you know what? Like, experience gaming, young Ward, experience it. But 360 to Xbox One, best believe I was like, no, stay away from my 360 collection, man. Like, like I was hoarding those games to find out like 5 of them were future compatible, and I'm sitting here going, oh, that sucks. Like, I mean, some of them were compatible, but it's like, oh, it really upset me that games that were backwards compatible on the 360 were not compatible on the Xbox One. Like Ghost Recon. Like, come on. The original Ghost Recon? It's a shame. You still have to bust out the 360 in order to play that, or
Yeah.
bust out an original Xbox.
But I think that's the unfortunate part of it. That's just, the money, financial reasons.
Yeah.
They don't want you to take your collection that you have and be able to play everything because you've only purchased it once. In today's world, they want you to purchase it 3-4 different times.
Oh, yeah.
And, unfortunately, I think if they actually paid attention to that and cared really deeply about the hardcore gamer consumer who collects things and who has stuff to show off, I think it would be awesome to have that. But yeah, the older consoles for sure, that was a great thing. I remember the Xbox 360 and like the Xbox One. The only reason I got an Xbox One was because of the backwards compatible library. And I remember going to GameStop and sitting there for like an hour on my phone scrolling through the Xbox backwards compatibility list, like, hey,
Yep.
checking them off. Okay, do they have this one? Oh no. Okay, go to the next one. And that was a big selling point for me. And that's the only reason I kept it around, was just because you could play all the games from your past and relive that. And some of them were even secretly upscaled, like Red Dead Redemption. It was secretly upscaled and it looked a whole lot better and played really smooth. And it was nice to have. And I think they lose sight, and that's one of the reasons why these next consoles kind of have me a little worried, especially the PS5 for sure. Have me a little worried about that, because I don't think the marketing is true and honest there. But
Yeah.
speaking about the past, yeah, the enhancements, what do you think about that going over the generation, gap to gap, and what the consoles
Oh,
offer? What's your do you have any stories or anything from like original setups or whatever?
so when you look at a game like from Atari,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do I have to say it anymore? I mean, like, let's just talk about Adventure for Atari. For those of you who don't know Adventure, it's an adventure game,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. It's literally, you're a block, you pick up a key, and you fight a seahorse looking thing with a triangle. Not a triangle, it's an arrow. I have no idea what to this day the arrow is supposed to represent. A spear, a bolt of lightning. I don't know. An
Yeah.
arrow. It's so, but you're a square. That's what you are, and you're traveling around other squares.
Mm.
Go to the NES. You play something like Jackal. I'm a Jeep. I see little guys with guns. I run them over. I shoot them. I see tanks. I can actually tell what I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where like enhancements over generations, like things start to look more and more real. But like the SNES, I think, is kind of the sweet spot where it's like you're 2D, but you're at a really good pixel count, so everything looks very like vintage, because it is. But that's what I think a lot of people try to replicate in these like retro games,
Mm-hmm.
where they're trying to emulate that older style and
Mm-hmm.
art style of like pixelated video games.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people go back to the SNES look because it was so clean, but like still like not 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played a game called Hunt Down?
Mm-mm.
Oh, really good game. Me and my girlfriend Kylie played it, but it was on the Switch release, and it was like a old 80s action film where you play as 3 different characters, and you pretty much, it's a beat 'em up, shoot 'em up Contra sort of style game
Mm-hmm.
for like for the like more recent consoles. But that art style is very, I could see that playing on a Super Nintendo, like
Mm-hmm.
just the art style alone, pixelated like gore and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
it's a goofy game. Like one of the guys is like named Jonathan Law or whatever it is, or is like his blood type spells AK-47. Like it's like that's literally what the guy says in the trailer.
Yeah.
And but that style, those retro games where they go back to that art style, there's a reason why, I think, and it's because the SNES was so nostalgic, but also so good for the time and for the future, because you can tell what it is,
Yeah.
but it still has that like vintage look,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you go to something like N64, I don't know anybody who's trying to replicate N64 looking games, because it just looks like a really bad rendered 3D game.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where it is that SNES is the pinnacle of 2D, because that's as far as 2D went, and then they went to 3D when they went to the N64 and everything else, So I think when you and I talk about like the enhancements, I think SNES, there really wasn't much you can do, because now you look at some of these modern platformers and they're all 3D. They all have some element of 3D in it.
Yeah.
Nothing's really 2D anymore unless they're trying to replicate that SNES look. My personal opinion. What about you? What do you think about enhancements in consoles over the years?
Well, if you look back at like for me, my first main console was the regular NES Nintendo system.
Mhm.
I think it's really cool how it's evolved from being a top-loading cartridge-based console, and then I think they've kind of stayed the same tradition. You know, they've
Mhm.
become a top loader in different forms along the way, even
Yeah.
with this current Switch today being a top loader. Um, I think it's really cool. I think Nintendo has done a great job as far as like enhancing. I think they did a fantastic job going from the Wii to the Wii U and taking that prototype controller and then jumping into becoming, I think, clearly by now what is Nintendo's best console they've pretty much ever made,
Oh yeah.
being the Switch. And I think that other game companies haven't really evolved as well. As much as I'm a Sony guy and I love Sony, I think they've taken safe steps along the way. You know, you look at the
Mhm.
original PlayStation, a top loading disc tray, and then you go to the PlayStation 2 where it ejects the disc tray out, and then the next technological leap, you know, you've got the PlayStation 3 where the disc slides in and you've got the different optical drive. Um, I like the jumps that they've made, but I think they've just made safe jumps.
Mhm.
Microsoft definitely has been innovative on the forefront of everything when it comes to online gaming, the marketplace. Microsoft 360 had the first ever like paid DLC where you actually had to pay for downloadable content, like we talked about in previous
Mhm.
podcasts. And Microsoft seems like they've really had it together and they've stayed on top. For me, my choice has always been Sony because of the games. But
Mhm.
if you look at the enhancements over time, I think Nintendo wins in as far as like overall value of gaming.
Mhm.
Sony has some of the prettiest gaming, and especially in their first party titles. And I think Microsoft has been the leader in like the media platform expansion and like
Mhm.
wasn't there some sort of like DVR feature they had where you could put your cable into it and it would manage your cable
Yep.
inputs? Yeah, so you know, for me, if I pull a story from my past, I remember just having my Nintendo and it being a dunce and thinking you could blow
Mhm.
into the cartridge to get
Oh.
it to work. And uh,
Oh.
I got a brand new console, and it was probably about 4 or 5 years behind the generation. The console had already been out for a few years, and I got it from a family friend who was close with my mom. She
Mhm.
bought it for me, and she had a slew of games with it, and I remember booting that up and playing it nonstop 24/7. And never at that point could I even imagine how games could evolve over the years, you know, for sure. So, um, you know, for me, near and dear to my heart is the Nintendo and PlayStation. But I've played them all. You know, my mom had an old ColecoVision up in the attic. I would sneak up there and play it, and
Mhm.
oh my god, it was terrible. And then my mom had an Atari from a friend, and it was up in our attic, and I would bring it downstairs, sneak downstairs, and hook it up, and try to play with that little joystick and the one button on it, and oh, it was awful. But yeah, for me, it's the enhancements have really, if you look at hardware and internet connectivity and the functions of games, and I think it's just gaming has evolved exponentially. And I think one thing at one point I want to make is outside people who aren't gamers say, "Oh, you play video games," you know, "Oh boy," you know, things like that. Kind of makes me cringe a little because they are missing out on
Mhm.
such an evolution of where it used to be just a game, and for some of us like us, it's become so much more. It's become a lifestyle. It's become something that's helped you get through hard times, you know. And I think the evolution of gaming has helped that exponentially become something that's more than just, oh, you play video games. Well, yeah, I play video games because video games are life now, you know. So
Mhm. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Like, I think video games as a lifestyle is something where it's a lot more accepted now.
hmm
Uh, and for me, like growing up with an NES and a Super Nintendo, I didn't have really anything other than Nintendo growing up until I got a GameCube. But I was like in middle school by that time, so everyone had already had like PS1s and PS2s,
hmm
and so by the time Xbox was out, I just got a GameCube, And then a couple years after the 360 had came out, I just got an Xbox. And then finally I caught up during the 360 era towards the later end of it. Like the last 2 years of the Xbox 360 was when I first got my 360. And playing catch up, I only got to experience like, I don't know, not even all the titles I would wanted to have experienced back then, you know?
Mhm.
So when people are like, oh, you never played one of these games? I'm like, no, because I didn't have a GameCube till I was this old. They're like, oh, it's
Mhm.
my childhood. I'm like, yes, but I wasn't 6 years old playing the GameCube. I was 12 playing the GameCube for the first
Right.
time.
Right.
Like, I'm not playing whatever the heck is your Fisher Price ABC's game,
Yeah.
whatever it is. By the way, it's a real game for the NES, and it's horrible. Um, it was so bad that when I transferred over, moving from my parents' house to my apartment now with
Mhm.
my girlfriend, when I was bringing the NES over, I was bringing over the games, and I looked at it, and I went, tossed it right in the box, back into storage. It went. That's how bad that game is. Didn't even bother bringing it with the collection.
Yeah.
But for me, the evolution of like gaming, if you don't like have it the experience when the console's out, you're not missing out, but your experience is going to be dramatically different than someone who does experience it when it comes out, I feel.
Mhm. Mhm.
Which is not a bad thing, because I think at the end of the day, how you experience it is up to you, and how you enjoy that experience is your own endeavor, you know, because there are games like that I love, like Final Fantasy 13 was my first Final Fantasy. I didn't play that till the 360 because that was the first time I came over to Xbox. But I never
Mhm.
had a PlayStation until the PS4, so I would never have experienced Final Fantasy otherwise,
Mhm.
you know. And for some people, they're like, "Whoa, Final Fantasy 7," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's a great game, and I'm playing it right now." But I would have never been able to even know like about
Mhm.
Final Fantasy otherwise.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that, as the games have evolved, as the consoles have evolved, like you get people who are either at the forefront of evolution or the forefront of like innovation, and you got people who are still trailing behind,
Mhm.
you know. And for those people who are trailing behind, boy oh boy, do you have something to look forward to. Like you get such a huge jump, because you're gonna miss probably, let's say for instance you still had a PS2, you jump to a PS5. Can you imagine that jump in graphics
Yeah.
like today? That person's brain would explode. They'd be hospitalized.
Mhm.
Just going, whoa, the pixels. Like, if that happens, and like, let's say I skipped out on the PS5 and only played PS4 games for the launch of the entire PS5, and then came back in at PS6, and the game like Call of Duty, like anytime I get shot, I like feel it. Like that'd be so mind blowing, you
Mhm.
know. So I don't know. I kind of got sidetracked there, but the evolution of gaming, I'm kind of excited for it, and it's
Yeah,
like also kind of
absolutely.
something cool. But
What do you have any favorite controllers through the whole generation? You know,
oh
through the evolution. Do you have any? Do you have a favorite, or do you have any cool stories or anything?
oh dude, so I have a everyone's first party controllers are the best.
Mhm.
I think that's a lot, dude. This is a third party NES controller. It's called the Bijou Zipper. It's a turbo
Nice.
controller, firstly, but it is my baby, dude. I had it right on the desk because I found this adapter to let you like plug it into your computer,
Mhm.
and I've been playing a lot of retro games lately, and just this is my childhood, man. This is look at how much love is into this controller, man. It's so cool.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
listen to this. Oh, ASMR channel right there. But it
That's
was
cool.
rapid fire for Jackal and stuff like that. I love this controller. It's a third party controller. It just like feels good in the hand.
Mhm.
It's just too bad that like no game uses only two buttons anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what about you? What did you choose as your favorite controller? Because I'm pretty
So
sure I
I
could see
don't.
you as like a PlayStation guy.
Well, contrary to that, I don't have it with me. I traded in my stuff long eons ago, but
That's
maybe
okay.
I can in a future podcast or a future broadcast we can share it. But for me, my favorite was the Sega Dreamcast controller.
Okay.
For those of you who don't know, Sega had a console in between after the Genesis, and after making enhancements and step ups, they kind of climbed up at right after the Microsoft Xbox console, and they made something very comparable called the Sega Dreamcast. and that was a controller that was kind of big, it was sort of shaped like the original Xbox Duke controller. I don't know if you're familiar with that, the bigger, fatter
The saucer
controller.
plate, yeah.
Yeah, so they took that design where it's more round in your hands, and it only has one joystick. It's got a thumb and then one thumbstick on the left side, a D-pad, but it's got two caveats that most controllers today don't have. One is the power cord is actually at the bottom of the controller so that it can sit there, between your legs and not dangle across the living room and trip mom as she's vacuuming or something, And it has a little window at the top where you slide the game cartridge sorry, not the game cartridge, the memory card slides into the controller itself to save. Now that was super innovative, not only for that feature of having the memory card fit in the controller, but also the memory cards were little like Tamagotchi Neopets or whatever that thing was, where you could like feed your pets and everything. And you could play on it as well. It was actually fully functional, like the little ink screen, and that whole device was really crazy for the time, because not only could you hold the controller and play, but it would flash game related data or like imagery on that little memory card screen while you were playing. So that was really fun for me. And it had the pressure triggers just like the 360 controller upgraded to. So they were very innovative, and it was a really cool controller. I think that's by far my favorite. But I do have to share a second one with you, and that's you obviously know what this is. The 8BitDo controller from
yes, dude.
This guy is by far my favorite controller I think I've ever played. It's got the real joysticks here blended in with the old SNES controller style. It's wireless. You can plug it in to use it as well. It's got the triggers. Oh, this thing is amazing. 8BitDo did a great job on this. They're not a sponsor, but I just got to give that an honorable mention. This controller has changed gaming on the Switch for me for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I was telling Matt, because I've been, like I've told everybody on the podcast, I've been really into retro games. And for NES games, I use the NES controller. But you play anything else, they require like 4 controllers, triggers, and it's like just the NES doesn't support that. And I was like, Matt, here you go, get this controller. I was just telling him about it forever. It's a great controller. It's too bad that they don't have the OG look anymore on some of theirs, but if you can find them, Super Famicom style is the best in my personal opinion. The Super Nintendo is really nice, but I like that Famicom color scheme. It's almost like your Dreamcast color scheme with the colored buttons. But did you have a least favorite controller?
Least favorite controller?
Yeah.
Well, let's go. I'm trying to remember back. I think for me it was the N64 controller. It was just really weird with that centered joystick. Yeah. And at the time I wasn't feeling it. I think it was a cool concept. It's kind of like they took like a flight stick idea and they kind of blended it with a controller, and it was just always awkward for me. I don't think I vibed with the N64 system at all to begin with, and then the controller was just awkward for me. So yeah, N64 controller all the way. Weirdest, oddest design for me.
Yeah, I kind of actually have to agree with that, because I was thinking originally like the original Xbox controller, but then you bring up the little analog stick in the middle, and it's like you go to these college parties and like everyone thinks they're unique by having an N64 and Mario Kart. Like, ooh, it's like, okay, whatever, you and everybody else on campus. But they always have like the most erectile dysfunction analog sticks, dude. Like you hold the controller sideways and it like falls over. You hold the other way, just like, it's like, okay, cool, dude. Like, I don't know how to use this thing because it's like a toothpick inside of like a bowl. That's how like secure it was. It was so bad. Yeah. But man, Viagra should be a sponsor after that comment. On that note, I think we've reached a save point.
Yeah. Ding ding, save point.
Oh gosh.
That's funny.
Matt, on this week's save point, we actually got a couple of comments coming to us from the fans here.
Awesome. Let's hear them.
Yeah. We got Robert Earl saying, love this. Thank you, Robert. We appreciate that feedback, and much love to you too, brother.
Robert. Thank you.
And then Sunto Kage on our YouTube channel said 3 flames and 5 hundies. I think he's trying. I don't know what he's trying to say there, but
emojis. Hey, I think either we're on fire and he's donating us $500, or maybe he's setting it on fire. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, true. I don't know. If you're gonna set $500 on fire, don't do that.
Yeah, don't.
Maybe he's like hot. Keep it on. Keep it 100. You know.
Yeah, I like
know,
that. I like
hip.
that. Yeah,
I'm not that hip.
That's what we. Well, neither am I. But that's like my philosophy. Keep it on fire and just stay true.
keep it on fire.
Keep it. That sounds so white and nerdy.
Speaking of white and nerdy, we actually have a nerd list on our website. If you go to distadigital.net, we wanted distadigital.com, but it costs like $50,000 to get that domain, and we're just like, we'll just do .net for the time being. You know, it's kind of off.
Keep it cheap.
Yeah, we'll keep it cheap. There's actually a comment section there where you can submit a comment to the show. But we also were incorporating over a fan request list for certain games. We actually got 2 requests already. One comes from Yo Moses TV. He's a streamer. And he said that we should play Final Fantasy VI. Don't know when he thinks we're going to find time for that.
Yeah, that's going to take a while. But hey, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm done for Final Fantasy VI. It's a great game from what I've heard. I think it's like a 41-hour completion on it. Yeah. But we'll have links in the description for that. We'll also have links on our website, so you can submit your own games that you want us to play. We also got another one from Pops Clark. He did this back on the first episode of Dis to Digital, where he said shout out to Shinjin the Ruler. So Shinjin the Ruler made its way onto that list because that was something that someone recommended.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's NES, right?
Yeah, NES. That game scared me as a kid growing up, because there's like this part where like there's like this disease in like the ancient Japanese time period that like made people's bones really weak, and there's like one where like your city gets overrun with this disease, and like there's like a guy going and he's like he's all like weird looking, and it just scared me as a kid. I didn't dig it. I was like, that game's super awesome until that part, because you never know when that part's coming.
Yeah.
Or I don't, and it just freaks me out every time. So might have to do that one on a Halloween horror stream. No, it's not even that scary. But Matt, do you have any comments for this week's save point?
Well, first of all, Robert and Sunto Kage, appreciate the love, guys. Thank you very much. And for you listeners there at home, if you guys want to hear us talk about a certain topic, you guys want us to play a game, maybe do some live playthroughs, give us a shout out, give us some comments. Just a digital.net, our website. If you go down to the bottom of the page, there's a comment section. You don't have to have an account. You can just post an anonymous comment if you want, if you guys want to hear that. Also on Twitter as well. That's disc to digital with a K, not a C, K. And we were always checking the feedback. I know I'm on social media daily, and always looking for your guys' comments and perspectives. That helps drive us. That helps us grow as a brand. So our goal is to take Just a Digital and make it mainstream for everyone. We want to be in everyone's household. So we can only get there with your guys' help, your guys' feedback, comments, criticisms, perspectives, all of it. We love it. We appreciate it. We respect it. And we're very thankful for it. So thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you to everybody, especially someone like Xavier who reached out and gave us a great topic to talk about. I know Afro gave us one to talk about as well. So big shout out to those two for being supportive with the podcast. And for everybody else who tunes in and listens, we appreciate every single one of you in some capacity. But back to the topic at hand, the big 3, some of the best-selling titles over the years of the evolution of previous generations and older generations. I mean, this topic comes into us from Xavier, and I had a conversation with Xavier, and I was like, "What did you really mean by this topic? Is it supposed to be a comparison?" And he looked at it and he's like, I kind of meant like, he said to compare this generation of consoles versus last generation. I'm like, that is not what you tweeted to us. He goes, well, he's like, I can fix it. I'm like, no, it's too late now. We've already put in the prep work for it. He's like, what if maybe just a comparison? I'm like, a an analysis. So I'm like, okay, we can definitely do that. But with that being said, no analysis would be complete without the best selling titles for each console. Matt,
Okay.
do you want to break it
Sounds
down
good.
for us here?
Sure, absolutely. I'd love to. So if you're going to just the Nintendo brand itself, let's touch on that first, since they're the, in my opinion, the biggest and the broadest of the three, the big three. You got Nintendo, you got PlayStation, you got Xbox. So if you want to look at Nintendo's top selling titles for the NES, it was a combination. This is the regular original Nintendo Entertainment System. This is going to be the Mario Bros. And Duck Hunt combination. That was the top selling title for the console. Me personally, Duck Hunt, big fan, love it. I got it. Got the light gun. I got the orange one, not the fancy gray one. And man, I just went to town on my TV. I probably beat the crap out of my TV too many times. Old picture tube. Yep. But that's some of my fondest memories of the Nintendo for sure, was with Duck Hunt. And Mario Bros. 3 too. That I think that was the second selling title, the highest selling title on that console. And Mario Bros. 3, those were definite awesome games in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you look at the big three, like you look at Nintendo's like the legacy child. Like they've been around forever. And then you've got Sony and Xbox, and those are really the only three consoles that are around anymore. I mean, Atari's no longer anything. You don't have Sega Dreamcast, unfortunately, anymore. So, but when you talk about Nintendo, I think everyone expects a Mario game. You know?
Yeah.
It's so iconic. And when I saw Mario Bros. Duck Hunt, I'm like, oh, that's cheap. They gave it away with the system, you know. But then Mario Bros. 3 is next up. I'm like, okay, I can respect that.
Yeah,
respect that at least. I don't know why it's so popular.
Well, I think for me personally, Duck Hunt, my favorite part of Duck Hunt was not just the periphery of the light gun, which was awesome, but it was when you would miss the duck. And if you're sitting across the room and you're not cheesing it, you're sitting across the room and you're trying to shoot and you miss the duck, the dog comes out and like, he laughs at you. And I just love that. And then, it was just nothing better than like the game insulting you and laughing at you as you fail miserably. That's just some of my fondest experiences with that for sure.
Have you ever played Wild Gunman for the NES?
No, I don't recall that one.
I believe it's for the Famicom, but it's another light gun game, but it's like Cowboys, very similar to that.
Oh, okay.
And just those light gun games, like you were talking about, where like the game makes fun of you for it. I remember a lot of those light gun games, just loving them. And like as a kid, you're like, whoa, like it's so cool.
Yeah.
But man, that dog just laughing at you, man, I can't. Haunts me to this day. Level 10 and higher just haunts me to this day. But what about the SNES? What we got on the SNES here?
So SNES would be Super Mario World was the top selling title.
I can believe that easily. Did you ever play it?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I was never really good at it, to be honest. Like the whole Mario generation, I just, even still trying to go back to it and revisit it, I leave something to be desired for sure. I could never do a playthrough and be any good at it, but I loved Super Mario World. I loved everything about the whole Mario culture with that.
Yeah, me and my dad beat that together. So I love that. I don't know if that's my favorite SNES game, but it was one of the ones that we played the most. I did like the fact that it was 2-player, but I don't know, man. It always irritated me when like Yoshi got away and ran away from you. I'm like, why are you running away? Get back over here. We both want to live. And then he runs off a cliff and dies. I'm like, well, I guess I don't get you now.
Yeah.
For N64, I see we got Mario 64.
Yeah, that's
just got a remaster on that too, didn't we?
Fun game, 3D, loved it, but man, is it just, it's a hot mess with the camera work in that game.
It's an eyesore sometimes too, I think.
Yeah, and it was just remastered into the Mario All-Stars edition for the Switch, which is limited time, by the way, so if you guys got to go pick it up, because you're not going to get a chance to play it in that package for the same price. I think March next year they're discontinuing that 3D All-Stars port. It's not really a remaster, it's more of just a port. But N64, it really shows its age now with this new game, because it's just a direct port. There's no enhancements, and that camera work And my wife was playing it, and she loves the game, but the whole camera work is just really something to be desired. It was really just a rough 3D Mario.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really cool thing back in the day because I remember playing it for the first time at the hospital when my mom was having surgery. There was like a little kid room where you could play stuff, and you know, you don't want to just sit there and do nothing, so you're playing Mario 64 for a couple of hours, you know, and it was a simple enough game that anybody could pick it up, and you could just be satisfied jumping around collecting coins. You had no idea what you're doing.
Yeah,
but I'll say playing it on an actual N64 at my cousin Sandy's house. Shout out to her. She introduced me into like GameCube, N64, all that stuff when I was really younger, and like gave me a taste for it. She was that cool cousin growing up, and she was showing me like how to use the analog stick to throw Bowser, and my thumb was so small I couldn't like get around it to like throw Bowser. So literally at one point she's like, "Give me it," and she just like rounds the controller and like throws him off onto the bomb. And it's just that's my Mario 64 moment I remember, is because she as a gamer was watching me struggle so bad, and it was just irritating her so bad that she ripped it out of my hands. It's like, I'll do this for you. Like she couldn't let us die. I don't know what it was. I don't know if that was the last life or something, but I had never seen. It was like Gollum, not Gollum, Bilbo Baggins in Lord of the Rings when Frodo's got the ring, you know, and he looks at it and he goes, ah, whatever. It's kind of like that moment. But the GameCube we got next on that list, Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yeah, that's whew, man. There's so much you can talk about that.
Yeah.
It's easy to tell why it was the #1 selling title. I mean, just endless hours of couch cooperative opportunity there, kicking the crap out of your little sister, brother, etc., things like that. For me, it was a breath of fresh air from the like Mortal Kombat growing up. I was always big into that, and I'm surprised actually at the fact that Mortal Kombat wasn't a higher seller, because it just it's just iconic in itself. You could have a whole podcast dedicated to that for sure. But the Smash Brothers really was a breath of fresh air with the Nintendo characters jumping into a beat 'em up, smash 'em up type game. So yeah, it's easy to see the endless hours of replayability in that title for sure.
I think the reason Mortal Kombat wasn't as successful is because Smash Bros was geared to everybody, whereas Mortal Kombat's kind of an older crowd thing.
Mature audience,
yeah. Same. Street Fighter's kind of at the is closer to Smash Bros, but like technically it's a much harder game, you know, than Smash Bros. I just remember this kid in my class, Johnny. I had a play date. My mom said you can go over to Johnny's house and play some games with him or whatever. I'm like, sure, whatever. Not super close to Johnny. And he just was like, "You want to play Smash Brothers?" I'm like, sure. And just proceeded to like whoop my ass for like 5 hours. I'm like, this is really fun. Is this what you do? Is this why you invite people over so you can beat them up in Smash Bros? You know, it was so bad. And he was doing spammy stuff too. He thought he was so cool. Go back to school the next day. I'm like, yeah, Johnny's an ass. You know, like you're in 5th grade. You're like, Johnny's a jerk. You know, like,
that's funny.
You know, it's bad.
For the GameCube, I'm surprised Mario Party wasn't a bigger seller or wasn't the #1, because Mario Party, I remember endless hours with the family, you know, playing Mario Party just constantly, and it was one of the most expensive games to try to reacquire as far as Nintendo goes. I mean, the resale value was through the roof on that. So yeah, it's interesting that Smash Brothers took the cake on that.
I think it's because Mario Party might be like the reason for multiple like friendships being ruined and multiple divorce cases.
Oh, see, and it's all luck, baby. It's all it is. It's just luck, you know.
When you start stealing them stars, that's not luck. That's just being a plain jerk.
Mario Party ain't about skill. It's some of it with the little mini games, but Mario Party's all a giant game of luck. It's like that game just continuously pounds everyone. I don't know anybody that walks away from that and doesn't go, ugh, get frustrated with it, you know. So
I do. I win. I'm a winner in Mario Party. Until people start stealing them stars, and it's like, get the hell out of here. I hate that. But
it's all chance, baby. It's all chance.
No, it's all skill. It's all skill up until the BS comes in. You know what else is all about skill? Mario Kart 8 on the Wii. Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
okay,
dude,
yeah,
Mario Kart, I'll do that all day. Wait, that's the Wii U, actually. Mario Kart 8 was on the
yeah.
Wii U.
What was for the original Wii?
Wii Sports.
Oh, Wii
Got the
Sports,
gold
man.
boxing gloves, man. Just
Yeah, I was sweaty on that Wii Sports tennis, man. I ruined my relationship with my family over that game. I just went like hard, like the dad,
yep.
picking on the little kid. Hey, come on, let's play. Wham bam! Every time. I loved Wii tennis.
Oh my gosh.
Bowling was my favorite. With the bowling, just endless. That with the Wii Motion controller,
Oh yeah.
and then when you got the upgraded Wii Motion Plus, it's a little bit smoother, and you just hold that trigger and then just make the bowling motions. I
Yeah.
remember when I first started playing the Wii, I felt so stupid, this big guy, awkward, going, but then after bowling really settled me in. Like I would be all legit, like all like a professional bowler, and then I would roll it and let go of the trigger and twist, and I took it serious for sure. I loved it.
I was the guy who would always go to the right, as far to the right as you could, and then just like
Yeah,
just hook it and it just be perfect. I'm like, yes, excellent.
precision aim. Yep.
Yeah, I was like, excellent. Well, because it's a Wii motion controller. It's like there's only so much
Yeah,
realism it can do.
yeah.
My
Gotta
favorite's
get
when you
that
throw the
perfect
bowling.
strike.
Yeah, when you throw the bowling ball back and everyone's hitting the deck like it's a hot grenade. Oh, like oh
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, my dad. I remember one time it was during like the summer where
Hmm.
my dad was trying to get like all pro or expert settings or ratings on like all of these, and he couldn't get Wii bowling. And so
Oh,
just one day I come out in the living room and he's just he's like super focused, just trying to play Wii bowling out in the living room. And this is back on like an old CRT TV, like, and the CRT TV is like a 32-inch TV, and my dad's like probably an inch away from the TV trying to line up his thing. Gets back, walks about 4 or 5 feet back,
that's
and
funny.
it's just like this concentration phase. It was the best thing walking out, and I'm like, whatever. And then he'll win, and he's like, oh, because he like had like a score that was like 10 below what he needed to be like expert or whatever.
Yeah.
He was like, oh gosh, he was doing that, and then like you would degrade over time if you didn't do it
Hmm.
enough.
Hmm.
So that was a summer. I
That's
remember
funny.
a lot of
That's too
yelling.
funny.
Mother, you should not have left
So,
me alone with him. No, I love my dad. But yeah, Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U was the next console for the Nintendo.
that speaks for itself. I
Yeah.
mean, they recently ported it over to the Switch,
Mhm.
and it's the same game, just better looking.
Yep.
But yeah. Ooh, Mario Kart 8, really good game.
Did
What were you gonna say?
Did you know that they actually had to do a patch in the Mario 8 because the Inklings? I actually just found out about this previously, but the Inklings used to do this like gesture where they'd like do the up yours gesture. Like
Oh,
they
okay,
do
yeah.
everything. Yeah. They had to reanimate it and
Wow,
patch
I
it.
didn't know that.
Yeah, I was like, what? Didn't know that. Fun
That's
fact.
funny. That's cool. All right, so if we move on to PlayStation, now that we've got Nintendo exhausted out of the way for the big three best-selling titles in the
They're a
previous and old
dynasty, man.
generation, moving on to PlayStation 1, Gran Turismo.
Gross.
Gra-
Gross. As you can
I
tell, I'm an
loved,
avid Gran Turismo fan.
yeah, I can tell totally. I loved Gran Turismo. My buddy Matt and I used to sit there and play Gran Turismo. I think we really got into like Gran Turismo 3 and going on and things
Mm.
like that when they started incorporating real rock music and just having the more pronounced 3D effects, and the when it originally it wasn't so crisp and clean, and it's horrible to go back and play now, but Gran Turismo was a franchise that's near and dear. Just endless hours of driving, and they weren't the greatest driving simulator, but they were a lot of fun. And I mean, you could not go into a game and play anything like that and hop into a McLaren and go take off and listening to Rob Zombie as you're doing it. This is one of the coolest experiences I have. So Gran Turismo, I can. It's kind of hard to believe with all the great classic titles that the PlayStation launched with alone, and then the life of the console. But yeah, it's. I think it speaks to the Japanese car culture and their love for automobiles and for the the circuit racing that they have, the scene that they have there, and that they're just admiration for that. I think that's probably a huge contributor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm surprised like something like Metal Gear Solid or Final Fantasy VII didn't make the top selling list.
Well, Final Fantasy VII was like the number 2, I believe.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at these numbers here, and they're like
Yeah,
800,000 copies short.
yeah.
Man,
So that's pretty big for Final Fantasy. Also, I
yeah,
can
true.
understand why though.
Got that remake coming out. I mean, or that came out. I mean, it should be up there. PS2, I see we have San Andreas.
Oh yeah, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. That's
Yeah.
classic, instant classic. I think that's probably one of the most played games that they call it retro. It's not a retro game, but it's like probably one of the games that the most gamers go back to and look at, and that's the greatest inspiration for GTA 5. That's it's all there. The car customization, the culture, the cruising the neighborhoods looking for trouble, random events happening, things like that. That's all where that comes from.
Okay. I see on PS3 here we got GTA 5. Speak of the devil.
Speak of the giant devil that lives on and just gonna continue on to its third or fourth generation platform jump. Third, yeah.
Third, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. They're making the jump with that. It speaks for itself. If you haven't played GTA 5, you can pick it up anywhere, super cheap. Play it, you'll have a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I love the story of it, where it's 3 different characters that you get to play as, and you can switch between the 3, and play them at every instant. And I love the interactions when you switch and do that. And like Trevor's he's naked with his undies on, or he's like tighty whities, and he's in a fountain, passed out drunk. Or Franklin's cruising with his dog Chop, or things like that. Michael's sitting at a cafe sipping a little latte, so I just love that game for sure.
Yeah, GTA 5, for those of you who don't know, GTA 5 is the number 1 selling media of anything. It's just number 1 selling entertainment media. Isn't that like what was confirmed like a year or two ago, that it's grossed the most amount of money on any entertainment platform media ever?
They've toppled the Call of Duty Activision giants.
Yeah, and movies on top of that too. Any platform. Well. Yeah, it's ridiculous how much money GTA 5 has made. It's just that good of a game, And it's not microtransactions, man. Free DLC from GTA 5, baby. People want to spend money on that game and buy stuff.
Yeah, free DLC. I have never purchased any microtransactions, and I've benefited when playing online from the stimulus packages that they've given, where they've given $2 million, $1 million. And they little shout out to them. They did something kind of funny with the COVID thing, which that's not a funny topic, but during the government's shutdown and everything and the lockdown, they have continuously given players $1 million a month online to help stimulate them for GTA 5. What? So you don't have to purchase any microtransactions because they've already made so much money. And when you play online, you can, purchase pretty much everything you want. Obviously, all these fancy sports cars and the yachts and all these planes costs millions and millions of dollars in the game. And I think that's really cool what they did with that, where they made a whole stimulus package for the community, which is really cool. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Man, I kind of want to sign into GTA right now and get my $1 million.
Oh, we've missed out, man. It's been going, I think it's been going for a few months now.
Why are you telling me this now during the podcast? You should have been telling me this before the podcast, so I could have been signing in and collecting the dough.
Yeah, I didn't take advantage of it either. I just saw it and I signed in and I got. I didn't get past the login screen to get that, but yeah, it's pretty cool though. Pretty cool feature. And that's clearly why they're gonna have infinite funding for GTA 6. So.
Oh yeah, Rockstar doing amazing work here.
Absolutely.
Now we come to the little baby, because if you think about it, PlayStation or Sony and Nintendo have been around for a while, but the newcomer is Microsoft. Microsoft's only been around for 3 generations. Microsoft, Xbox, the original Xbox, Halo 2, ladies and gentlemen. Whoop, 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 whoop. Love me some Halo 2, man. Great game. My favorite Halo, personally. I know a lot of people like Halo 3, but Halo 2.
Well, it was sequel that's probably one of the better sequels in gaming history, as far as like story, gameplay, things like that. I remember the original Halo was a blast for me. I don't see, and I can still go back and play them.
Mhm.
I don't see the issue, but I see it's kind of hard to believe that the sequel sold better than the original.
Yeah, I
That's
kind of find that hard to
that's
believe
interesting.
too. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just because it was a better Halo dual wielding was offered.
Mm.
Energy
Oh,
swords, you could
okay,
pick it
yeah.
up, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You could play as Arbiter, uh, which is awesome. Plays a Covenant, but also Halo 1. Looking back, it didn't age as well as Halo 2 did. Halo 2
Okay.
aged really well. Oh gosh, so good, so good. And moving on to the Xbox 360, as we would all expect to have Halo 3, it's Connect Adventures.
What?
Yeah,
No, it's
Connect
not Connect
Adventures. I
Adventures.
can't believe it either. I can't believe it. And looking at these numbers, it's by a landslide too.
Why, parents, you got suckered in?
I don't know. I probably because I don't know if it's because they handed it out with the Connect systems.
It
I
could
don't
be.
know.
I
But
remember the commercials. It seems so cool, and then you get into play it, and it's like awkward, and the eye detects things randomly. Your cat's running in the background and screwing up the whole
yeah,
system, and it's like I just Connect Adventures. Wow,
yeah.
that's sad.
Well, here's the thing though, Matt. Connect was used in Ghost Adventures to like track ghosts.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember watching the episode. They used
Yeah.
the Connect feature. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the guy's like, "Wow, something touched me," and the Connect's showing like a person like touching him. It's like, whoa, it just glitched out. Whoa, I don't know. I watch me get attacked by a ghost now, and my Connect not pick it up. And I get murdered by this guy, but my Connect's able to see this guy brutally murdering me. Like, watch that happen now. But I mean, like, I just is like, really, an Xbox Connect is what you're doing? But yeah, I can't believe it's Connect Adventures either. But those are the big three giants. The three
Interesting.
gods of video game consoles, and all of their number one titles on their system. I don't know. I don't think there's a clear winner as far as like which consoles are the best and which titles are the best, but just kind of something there to compare. See what
Yeah,
games
and
we love.
it's if you're looking back at the list compiled as a whole, if you look at the Nintendo side of it, it's all Mario and Mario inspired action. And if you look at PlayStation, it's sports, RPG, and a third person action adventure gaming. And
With a
then
lot of
the
cards in it, yeah.
yeah, the Xbox is just first person shooter and then a interactive home experience. So that's kind of a weird culmination of gaming titles for Connect
Yeah.
Adventures. It's just that's sad.
Yeah,
think I saw it. Wasn't GTA 5 like the runner up on 360 also?
Yeah, GTA was 17 million or whatever it was copies. Connect Adventures is 24.
Wow.
Yeah, not even close. It's like, oh my gosh, how is that even possible? Like,
Yeah, well, it wasn't the Kinect device is what led to like the patent of the PlayStation VR, and like the whole idea with like setting the bar kind of high there. For me, PlayStation VR was just a terrible experience, not only in the setup but to get the light tracking just correct, and it's like to me it was just awkward. Like I remember having the Kinect and it was just plug it in. It worked, the PlayStation VR, you plugged it in and you had to be like a nuclear physicist to get the thing to work right in the room.
Yep.
I felt so stupid. And then I remember when I got in the cockpit of the car and then I'm like, the whole screen's tilting like this. And I'm like, what's going on? I must have got a faulty VR system, but yeah, that Kinect, that was a big thing. I'm surprised they, if that was their best selling thing, they just kind of abandoned it, and there's no more market for that anymore.
Yeah, I think what really killed it was Cortana, because like I'd be like trying to be like Connect, or like was it Cortana? I'd be like bling. I'd be like Cortana, play Children of Corn. And it's like, okay, playing Batman porn. I'm like, thanks Cortana. Like,
yeah, okay, I see.
yeah, this is so bad. Cortana's the worst AI in the entire existence of the world. It was
Yeah,
horrible. It was horrible. Cool name, but horrible.
yeah.
Horrible AI. But yeah, I think that's about all the time we got for this episode. We had a lot of fun with this one. Thank you, Xavier, for that topic for us to choose and discuss. But we yeah, we got into some weird things this week, so I'm just gonna end it a little short. Ended it right there. Just end it on the weird note. You know, Matt, do you got any final thoughts here?
Sounds good. Thank you guys. Appreciate your love and support. And again, if anything you want us to talk about, anything you want us to share, games you want us to play, I will be starting going on YouTube and doing some live streaming, things like that for the Dista Digital. So definitely stay tuned, check us out. And if you want me to play through a game exclusively, I will do a let's play, or I'll do a walkthrough. Scary games, sports games, kids games, whatever you guys want to see. You guys want to see games? You want to see a big burly guy act like a little schoolgirl, get scared with Resident Evil or something scarier? Outlast? Oh god, I'm opening myself up. Outlast, guys, I'll play it. I'll get scared. But yeah, just let us know what you guys want us to see. And again, we stress, it helps us grow, it helps us get better, it just makes the whole process so much more involved with you guys, with your feedback and your interaction. So we really do appreciate it. And not that to mention, we'll give you an honorable mention. So just let us know what you want to see, what we could do better, or what you want us to talk about. But yeah, thank you guys so much for your love and support. We really do appreciate it, and it sincerely means a lot to us, for sure.
Yes, it does. And from all of us here at Dista Digital, we will see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.
Peace.
Hi, this is Brett from Dista Digital, and if you want to be part of the action, you can go onto our Discord channel where we talk about everything from games to movies, and we just kind of chill out there in our Discord. You can post a comment there or on our social medias at Dista Digital, and you can go to our website, distadigital.net, where you can scroll down to the bottom and leave a comment and talk to us in our forum over on that website. We also have a Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook page where we are active every single day. We also have a YouTube channel, and we hope to see you there. From all of us at Dista Digital, thank you.